Tensions between fan favorite Ben & Jerry's ice cream and their parent company Unilever continue to grow as the ice cream maker announces that their CEO, David Stever, has been fired. This week, a filing in a New York federal court shared that the ice cream brand is accusing Unilever of violating a merger agreement by continuously silencing Ben & Jerry's social mission, claiming the CEO was terminated over the company's political posts. Most recently, they blocked Ben & Jerry's from sharing a post about free speech following the arrest of Mahmoud Khalil, a Palestinian refugee and activist detained by ICE after participating in protests at Columbia University. Historically, the ice cream maker has been very outspoken when it comes to politics. From climate change, LGBTQ rights to racism, the company has transformed ice cream into what some call edible activism. So joining me now is NewsNation media contributor and founding editor of Mediaite, Colby Hall. Colby, you're in the studio today. Great to see you. All right,
Good to be seen.
We are certainly in today's climate. Can an activist-driven brand survive when its corporate owner ultimately is calling all the shots?
It's a good question. It's a fascinating story. Like you said in the setup, I think a lot of people bought Ben & Jerry's because, the activism, the progressive leanings of the company was sort of in their value proposition, was in their DNA. And as a result of this, it's absurd to think that people buy ice cream because they think they're saving the world by eating politically active ice cream. But you're seeing now boycotts from progressives saying to boycott Ben & Jerry's because of this firing. And it puts in stark relief, how corporate America is trying to recalibrate social messaging during a Trump administration 2.0. So, I think it's bizarre that people eat ice cream because of its political messaging. But also, I don't know if this is smart corporate governance. I think it could end up hurting the bottom line. But yeah. They bought the company in 2020 for $330 million. So, they own it. They get to do what they want to do.
Well, that's what I want to talk about. If they have acquired this brand years ago at this point, why do this now? Is this all about the new administration?
I think it is. I think the administration, the Trump administration, is symptomatic of a larger trend, and that is that people, I think, are a little bit weary and tired of seeing everything being political. Like, not everything needs to be, I just want, mint chocolate chip ice cream. I don't necessarily need to be supporting Kamala Harris or BLM. I just want to eat ice cream, right? And but again, there are those people that really sort of vote with their dollar, right? It's Chick-fil-A is a very popular brand on the other side of the spectrum, right? Because their ownership, they're not open on Sundays. And say if Chick-fil-A were to be purchased by a big corporation who wanted to fire their CEO because of their sort of corporate leanings or conservative leanings, I think that would be sort of crazy as well. So, it's the corporate America leaders are trying to navigate a brave new world, and I don't know that there's a clear path or roadmap for them. And no matter what they do, they're going to anger someone. And it turns out they're maybe going to anger the progressives and not the Trump administration.
And you mentioned there, 2020, obviously the murder of George Floyd. We saw companies from truly all across the spectrum, all of a sudden, shouldering more social activism. We've talked about this before, Colby. Do you think this now is kind of a correction, maybe an overcorrection? And then is it possible we'll see the pendulum swing once again in the other direction when, things and the mood changes?
I think, it's a metaphor that I've said with you a billion times, and that's the pendulum, right? The pendulum never swings back and lands in the middle. It overswings, and it slowly course corrects. And I think that's what we're seeing here. Will there be examples where sort of some corporate overlords overcorrect? Of course. But, I don't think this is a free speech issue. I just think it's a business issue. And, at the end of the day, these people are trying to sell product. And if there's a huge reaction, look at Bud Light. Bud Light, was sort of got a lot of backlash and boycott from conservatives. And they pivoted to sort of embracing Shane Gillis, who's a sort of a conservative-leaning comedian. And Bud Light sales shoot right back. So, it's an interesting thing to talk about because it reflects the sort of, the zeitgeist of where we are. But at the end of the day, it's ice cream, right? I don't know. It's a fascinating thing. And, here we are talking about it.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find News Nation on your screen. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.